Hiya folks, through our scientific brilliance, I think it's safe to say that, coupled with our courage, our risk-taking and all the rest of it, we've actually blazed a global trail with our vaccine programme. We've already vaccinated over a third of the adult population. That's over 26% of our entire population. More than 4 times, that's absolutely true, 4 times the European average. So, vindicating Brexit and all the rest of it, an absolute success story for Team GB. And yesterday Boris Johnson said that the end really is in sight and that the government's decisions of releasing us from our year-long incarceration would be led by data, not dates. So let's examine the actual data. The latest research by Public Health Scotland has vindicated the UK government's policy when it comes to vaccinations. A study of more than 1.1 million people in Scotland revealed that a single dose, just one dose, of either the Oxford, AstraZeneca or the Pfizer jab have reduced the risk of ending up in hospital by up to 90%. So then you have to ask yourself, well, can we eliminate every risk? In life, can you ever eliminate every risk? And the answer is, of course you can it. As Boris has also rightly said, we can't persist indefinitely with restrictions that debilitate our economy, our physical and mental well-being, and the life chances of our children. But then, folks, I'm sorry to say, he did precisely that. He spoke grandly of a one-way road to freedom, except that this one-way road has more side detours than Elizabeth Taylor has had husbands. And he emphasised that lifting of the lockdown would be cautious but irreversible, only to add yet more caveats to its irreversibility than there are in most Hollywood prenuptials, driving, I think, the country to the depths of despair. Every milestone along this tortuous, so-called one-way road is provisional and subject to 4 tests. So if you want to meet a friend, you've got to wait until the 8th of March before you're allowed to sit with him or her at opposite ends of a park bench. And are you a care home resident, you too will have to wait until the 8th of March before you have visits from a single nominated person who, having first passed a COVID test and donned every bit of PPE, personal protective equipment that they can get a hold of, they can hold your hand, but they can't hug you. Very cruel, if you ask me. And restrictions on social contact have actually had adverse mental health and well-being impacts. The government themselves have admitted. And they can say that again, if you ask me, folks. So if you sat there at home are absolutely aching to hug your family and your friends, it's a case of tough titties. You can't until the 17th of May at the earliest. And God forbid, if you're a younger, single, dare I say, randy individual, you'll have to manage by yourself until the 21st of June, subject naturally to the 4 tests being met before hooking up in the sack. And it won't be until the 12th of April that we can actually even have a haircut again. And if you look at the bloody state of mine, I think we're all pretty desperate for them. Now, assuming there'll be any hair salons actually left, over 5,000 of them have actually shut it up for good. And why, might you say? Well, hair salons and personal care premises are classified as non-essential premises. Non-essential who? Not to their owners, employers or their patrons, and certainly not to Her Majesty's Exchequer, that contribute 28.4 billion quid to our GDP. And the government acknowledges themselves that hospitality is a core part of the British economy. And I'll second that. I can't wait to get back in a restaurant. I don't know about you, and definitely the pub. But it won't be until the 17th of May that they can have indoor customers. And guess what this sector is worth to the UK economy? 57.6 billion quid. A whopping 57.6 billion quid. And guess how many people they actually employ? 2.5 million. Does the government care? It doesn't seem to one iota. And when does freedom, and I mean real freedom, the kind that the British flag has represented for years and years, that people have fought and died for, freedom to even on a sort of very reductive level, to meet anyone and everyone we wish to, the freedom to invite any number of people to our weddings or to funerals, God forbid, of our loved ones, the freedom to return to our offices, to stand together and not 2 meters apart, actually begin. And that's the answer to that is the 21st of June at the earliest. So why do I keep stressing at the earliest, folks? Well, it's because Boris Johnson warned yesterday that we can't rule out reimposing restrictions if evidence suggests that they're necessary to contain or suppress a new variant which escapes the vaccines. The goalposts, I'm afraid, keep changing. And I said that at the start, the UK has actually blazed a global trail with the rollout of our vaccine scheme. And through the efforts of scientists, world class, and our private sector, the NHS, of course, our armed forces, the sacrifices and the courage each and every one of us have made to our health and no doubt our happiness and our general well-being, we stand ready and on target to be the first among nations to actually vaccinate all of our population. So it strikes me as incredibly sad. It strikes me as incredibly wasteful and tragic and ironic and impossibly unforgivable to be the last nation to reopen. It flies in the face of all of the evidence. And I say to the government, I'm going to look right down the barrel of this iPhone camera and say to you that you've forgotten that you need to give people hope. The vaccine charged over the hill like a knight on a white horse, and the UK grasped that opportunity with both arms. We're on track, we're world class when it comes to the rollout of that vaccine. It's time to actually be brave and bold, as we were in the procurement of that vaccine, and actually reopen our economy and not find ourselves number one for the rollout of the vaccine, but at the very back of the queue when it comes to actually joining the world again by reopening our economy and unleashing the freedoms and liberties of the British people. Give us hope, Boris. Be brave, be bold, and give us our lives back. For God's sake, we are all incredibly desperate here. I'll see you next time.